introduce myself. I trained to be an ed support special needs teacher, and while I was doing that, I worked as an education assistant. And my first placement was in a country school, a little country school, and I absolutely loved it. And my principal at the time, nice guy, but he was signing blank cheques and his boss told him to leave. And so not that long after starting teaching, just a couple of years into my teaching, I became the principal of a small school because the other most senior teacher was off having a baby. And it was kind of okay because it was little and it kind of ran itself, and you know, we're in the country and no one bothered us too much. But I was a principal very, very young. And then I left there eventually, became a visiting teacher for students with disabilities, and I visited thousands of schools all over Western Australia. And I jokingly say, even though my actual teaching is relatively limited, I have been into almost every school in the state and most of them in the Northern Territory. So I moved out of there. I loved being a visiting teacher, but it's pretty hard work because your bag's packed most of the time and you're never at home. So eventually I applied for and won the principalship of another small ed support centre. And again, it was lovely, it was small, I had a very experienced staff, I didn't need to tell them what to do, so I was basically making it up as I go along, and I did okay, and I really liked it, but I was, again, still pretty young and leading people with a bit of experience. And I didn't actually know what leaders were supposed to do, but we didn't seem to kill anybody most days, so it seemed okay. But eventually I applied for and won a position in a very large school as a principal, and I hung out for 7 years, but eventually, for all sorts of reasons that I'm happy to tell you over a glass of wine one day, I became overwhelmed and burnt out and exhausted and a lump of jelly on the carpet. And I had what I now know is a nervous breakdown, but I didn't know it at the time. And I realised a whole bunch of stuff between then and now. And that was, I had been given absolutely no formal leadership training. The department has changed a lot since then, and there is now lots, but there certainly wasn't anything for women, and there certainly wasn't anything for anyone in my situation. And I never, ever, ever wanted that, what happened to me, to happen to anybody else again. So I've essentially devoted the last 12 years to leadership and to well-being, to making sure that you are both able to lead in all sorts of ways, but also that you understand that you're part of a family and you have a life and you deserve to feel good in your life. So some of the other stuff that I realised was that I was really good at working with students with disabilities. I was a pretty good teacher. I was pretty good at behaviour management. I was pretty good at a lot of specific stuff. But that did not make me a good leader. And so some of you might be in the same boat. You might be awesome at literacy. You might be running the science committee. You may have been teaching year 5 like a gun for 15 years and doing it really well. And unfortunately, that's not going to help when you become a leader, which is kind of, it's a bit sad in many ways. So I started to put together some stuff about how to teach new and young leaders based on what it is that I thought I wanted to know, but also a whole lot of reading and research that I'd done. So launching into leadership is not a bunch of here are the policies and the practices and the procedures that you're going to need, although I will give you some. The first part in particular is very inward looking about what kind of person do I need to be, what kind of support do I need, and what do I want out of my journey. So it's more kind of inward looking. It will go places you hadn't even realised you wanted to go. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And again, as I said, you're all at your own levels in your own journey. And so you'll go different places. You'll have different aha moments. Literally, people have said, this has changed my life, which is awesome. But other people say, I just am a little more confident than I was when I started. And that's good too. So that's a little bit about me. I often say that I'm a mess of glorious imperfections. The last thing I want any of you to do is try and be perfect at anything. Just do what you can, learn what you can, and get better every day.